Good day to you all. Welcome back to the channel. It's time for day 20 of Countdown to the Spectrum. It's The Lords of Midnight, released in 1984 by Beyond Software, created by Mike Singleton. This game cost £9.95 when it came out and was also released on Amstrad CPC and Commodore 64. Confession time, never played it. Never played it before. This is the other game that I've never played. I assure you I've played the last two on this list, so we're good with that. But yeah, this and Fairlight were the two really that I am quite ignorant on, and Starquake I guess was the other one. But like I said at the time, I don't think it's right to only include games I know, because there are a few classics on here that deserve looking at. Like I said in the comments, you guys can fill me in more if you think I'm missing out on stuff. Yeah, looking at this one, I think I probably did miss out not playing this one before. We're going to go straight into the awards because this is a long review I've got to read here. So first best text graphical adventure in 1984 Crash Readers Award. First in State of the Art Award, Crash Readers Award again. Second best war game, same. Third best strategy simulation, and it was ranked second in 1984's Sinclair User Top 50 Spectrum Software Classics, and winner of CMVG 1984 Golden Joystick Awards for Best Strategy Game. It was awarded a Crash Smash, which we'll get to, and PCG Game of the Month at Personal Computer Games, Issue 9, 1984. So what can we say about this game? Well, the genre is a strategy game war, so there you go. That should give you a little bit of an example of what you're in for. Other than that, like I previously said, I pretty much know bugger all about this game, so I'm going to be educated on this one. I feel quite validated though, because a lot of you have said, like on comments on previous videos, that there are games you haven't played, and there's quite a few people actually that said they'd never played Where Time Stood Still. And there's me sitting there thinking, when I read that, wow, I'm surprised. I thought everyone played that, and there's probably a lot of you, when I say I've not played this, that feel the same way. So we're in the same boat in certain games, aren't we? And it just goes to prove that there are a lot of games available for this computer, and you're never going to have played every single one of them. I think 1984, as we've previously stated on here, I didn't get my Spectrum till the back end of 85, so this game was already released when I got my Spectrum. There were lots of games coming out, School Days, Back to School, Target Renegade, Match Day 2, you know, all them sort of games, Head Over Heels. I was obsessed with those games. Very few of the games that were already released grabbed my attention. Manic Miner I knew of from the Commodore 64 days, you know, Jet Set Willy I knew of because it was the sequel, you know. So the Hobbit was the same, it was released in 82, but I knew of that through playing it on the Commodore 64. This game, for some reason, I'd never heard of. Over the years, like, I've heard of it where people have talked very highly about how they rate this game, just never found the time to play it. So it's going to be a new experience for me playing it on the Spectrum, and I'm looking forward to it. Right, as I said previously, it's a long review, this one, so we're going to get into it now because it's going to take a while. And wish me luck on this one, because when I read stuff, normally I stumble and you don't really hear it in the video because I edit it out, but believe me, there's a lot of stumbling. I'm not an actor by any means, so reading lines, not a good thing for me. There you go. And I got a feeling there's going to be some long, complicated words in here. I could be proven wrong there, but normally with this type of game, you've got players' names that are going to be complicated and areas that are going to be complicated, so we will see. Anyway, let's go. Beyond have produced a game of immense complexity that transcends the simple word matching of mainstream adventure, and in many respects resembles a strategy war game. Many features of the game are new or are developed to an elaborate degree, setting new high standards in Spectrum software. The cassette is accompanied by a lavish booklet giving thorough and very sound playing instructions. When I say you will need them, and you most certainly will need to read some of the hints given, I mean this is a compliment to the inventive depth which pervades the whole project. Just a little side note there, stepping away from the review for a second. I've heard this about this game, that you do need to read the book that comes with it, so I'm not sure how they're going to solve that little problem, unless it's going to be in the Crash magazine that we get, but then because not every region is getting that, so wonder if we're going to have access to that at some point. I don't know really, to be honest with you. It's an interesting thought, isn't it? Let me know in the comments if you've heard anything or whether you know anything of how this could be. I can't remember with these games whether we get manuals or not. I can't remember ever looking at them on the A500 Mini, for example, or the C64 Maxi, but there might be access to manuals, I'm not sure, but it's an interesting thought on this one, isn't it? Anyway, back to the review. There is an original reward for the first adventurer to finish off Doomdark, your evil adversary. The prize has the winner cast in the role of fantasy fiction writer, as he will become co-author of a novel based upon the scenes of his unique version of the War of the Solstice. Thus, you will have a hand in creating the first ever computer-generated novel. Had I heard of this idea from a third party, I would have immediately dismissed it as half-baked folly. But having seen the game, I should like to be first in line to receive a copy. I'm assuming that was a competition that happened years ago, so Might want to overlook that from this review, but a look at the overlay card for the keyboard might show some ways this game differs from the others. Instead of the adventure style input here, you have a set of keywords. Look gives vista with details where the character stands. The heraldic shield at the top right tells you through whose eyes you are looking. You can turn a character to look in another direction by pressing the appropriate direction key. Think gives more details regarding the character, and any army he controls is numbered and described. Choose can lead to searching, hiding, attacking an enemy and repairing defenses, but the options will shrink or expand with different characters and circumstances. Cowardly character will seldom volunteer for daring deeds. Select gives you a list and allows access to the characters under your control. At the beginning of the game, you only control 4 characters, but can employ many more once you have visited various citadels and keeps scattered about the land. Although this game is so complex, it's difficult to review in the few days available. There is one feature which impresses on the very first frame of the game. Graphics which show your journey through the land of midnight are little short of stunning. Panoramic views are drawn in full perspective, and consecutive moves see mountains, fortresses, hills, citadels, towers and fortresses rising in stature as you approach or fade to distant outlines as you leave. The screen as a whole is very well presented, as if designed by a graphic artist. There is no crude split on the main screen, but instead a pleasing mixture of superb views of the scene, tastefully redefined characters for the text, a heraldic shield depicting the crest under which your character fights, and highly decorative and detailed representations of the numbers and type of foe you might come across. These last are the best I've seen on the Spectrum. Possibly the most pleasing aspect of the Lords of Midnight is its wonderfully coherent storyline. Doomdark has woken from his slumber and the lands of midnight are plunged into winter. This solstice is the peak of the Witch King's power, and it is now you must defeat him. The computer plays the role of Doomdark and highly intelligently pits the evil forces against you. Cold blast of fear emanates from the citadel of Ushgarak. So here we go. Blowing across the plains of despair ever southwards to where you are busy marshalling troops. Victory for Doomdark is eliminating Luxor the Moon Prince and Morkin his son. Alternatively, he can creep south into the peaceful land of the free, striking at its figurehead of serenity and happiness, the citadel of, and I'm never even going to attempt that. What the hell does that say? The citadel of Exajorkith. Zajorkiv. I don't know. I haven't got a clue how to pronounce that. You can read that one for yourself. If thinking of yourself pitted against the computer fills you with despair, don't worry, you have your friends and your own wits. You take the role of Luxor the Moon Prince, Lord of the Free, and your first task is to travel abroad and gain the support of the other citadels and keeps throughout the land of midnight and amass an army. As Luxor, you have the power of vision and the power of command, which enables you to control other characters loyal to you, move through the land of midnight, and look through their eyes. The closer a character or army is to Luxor and his moon ring, the less demoralizing is the effect of the ice sphere that emanates from the plains of darkness, as the ring radiates the strength and warmth of his mind. Man, this is complicated. I'm not even halfway through this review yet. Your most trusted companion and the most important person in the quest is your own son, Morkin, who is half human and half fae. By virtue of his unique ancestry, Morkin can withstand the utter coldness of the ice sphere, which is increasingly directed at him as he approaches the citadel of Ushgarak, and so lifts some of the burden upon the armies of the free. You initially have control over 4 characters: Luxor, Morkin, Coriath the Fae, and Rothron the Wise, but as you progress, such characters as the Lord of Shimmeril and the Lord of Brith and their armies add support to the forces of the free. If I run through a typical game, it may show you some of the great features it has and perhaps some tips if you've already got a copy. My tactics, and remember you'll need them as this is very much a strategy game, involve building up armies at the citadel of Shimmeril, guarding the western route into the tranquil southeast, and at the keep of Atherol, which overlooks a major route south. Luxor headed southeast past the Cave of Shadows through the mountains of Ishmael to the keep of Brith, where the Lord of Brith is recruited to the cause. Lord Brith travels northeast to the citadel of Shimmeril, while Luxor leaves to the east to recruit Lord Mitharg, who in turn heads north to Shimmeril. Mitharg picks up an extra 100 warriors on his way at a keep in the domain of blood. I'm going to be out of puff before I read this review. Morkin travels east to the domain of Morokith and finds shelter and refreshment at keeps along the way. In the east, he gets quite a shock to see Doomdark's troops lined up with 890 riders. Morkin finds it difficult to recruit lords of keeps and citadels, presumably because he is so young, but does manage to persuade the Lord of Whispers a little further along his way. Karl headed east to Shimmerel ahead of Morkin and seeks and finds the Sword Wolfslayer. Very handy when you meet wild wolves as well as Skulkin and ice trolls. You can become very blasé about killing these creatures, but if you are tired, they give you a nasty surprise. Karl is very invigorated, utterly bold, and the ice fear is mild. In these early stages, all is going well. Rothran goes northeast, but apart from recruiting the Lord Blood, who takes his 1,190 riders and 375 warriors south to Shimmerel, he plays little further active part in the game and comes to an untimely end at the hands of Skulkin. During the night of the third day, Doomdark has made his presence felt. The bloody sword of the battle brings death in the domains of Kor and Logarim, which are unfamiliar to me. I consult the map to find they are in the far north in the vicinity of the citadel of Ushgarak. Lord Blood loses 10 in the Battle of Blood, but picks up 100 warriors in a keep in the domain of Blood on his way to the south. He finds Lord Mitharg at a keep, unaware he is so near the citadel of Shimmerel, which the three have decided to meet. Blood takes Mitharg south with him. I'm getting there. The Lords of Shimmerel, Brith, Blood, and Mitharg are now encamped within the relative safety of the Citadel of Shimmerel. Overnight losses being small, say 5 to 10 warriors and about the same riders per army a night. In the latter stages of the game, Luxor recruits and sends Lord Dawn to the Citadel with 1,200 warriors and 600 riders, bringing the total warriors in the Citadel of Shimmerel up to 3,500 and riders to 4,000. Later, Luxor finds Athril with its keep, and Lord Athril begins to build up forces here. A point I had chosen as the second major bastion of defence and counterattack. The Utarg of Utarg marches his 1,000 riders to this second meeting point. However, on his way, he is not so committed as to recruit other armies, and this is left for Luxor to do. At the end of the 7th day at nightfall, when looking throughout the 8 compass directions, I could see the silhouettes of the towers, citadels and armies that surrounded me. My thoughts turned to Morkin, who I now knew had this very day penetrated deep into the dark mountains of Ugarom, into the Tower of Doom, and at this very moment he was wondering how he might get back with that precious object held tightly within his grasp. He had the ice crown. My word. I'm absolutely exhausted. We've got marks at the end of all this. That is actually the end of the review, believe it or not. It's a strange review, isn't it? Because they've just decided to talk about their tactics for half of that, which is a little bit weird, but I think we're getting the idea of reasons why maybe I didn't play it, because when this released in 1984, I was just like 10 years old for most of that year. I turned 11 right at the end of the year, so I think this would have been a little bit too complicated for me back then. Difficulty 8, atmosphere 10, vocabulary nothing, not applicable. Debugging 10, overall value 10. So it's a strange set of marks there for this one, but it did get a crash smash, and I believe that's the end of the review, because with the next bit's all about cold hits. Very complex. Let me know in the comments as ever if you played this game, if it's your type of game, if you completed it, what's great about it, because obviously I really have no knowledge on this one. I'm intrigued, but it does sound very complicated, but maybe playing it is easier. Do you know what I mean? It's sometimes when you read reviews of things and people talk about their strategies and tactics and all the rest of it, it can seem complicated because you don't really have a knowledge of it, you know? Maybe by playing it, you'll gain an understanding of the game and it will seem a lot less complicated. Who knows? But yeah, let me know in the comments. Apologies as well for the length of that review. My word, that was long. And also, whether it's your kind of review, I don't know, because I wasn't actually aware that there was going to be so much tactical talk there. There certainly was the complicated names to pronounce, and I apologise for some of my pronunciations. It must have been shocking, but when you've got no knowledge of a game, you don't know how these things are pronounced. Probably, to be honest, you will never know, because there's no speech in these games, is there? So you're not going to hear somebody else say it. So I guess it's your interpretation of those words, really. But that is that for this game. I'm going to leave it there, and hope you enjoyed this video. I'm very confused, but hopefully playing this game will clear a few things up for me. Like I said, as ever, let me know your stories of playing this game in the comments. I know this is very well revered by lots of people, so yeah, I'm pretty sure that this has a big fan base out there. If you're one of them, let me know how good this game is. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. 2 days to go, can you believe it? So back tomorrow with game 21 on this list, and we're nearly done. Unbelievable, isn't it? Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. See you soon. Bye for now.